Pat, seat anywhere you want. Hey, this is Mike Bowles. He's a deputy chief here.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
All right. Nice to meet you.
You too.
All right, so yeah, I was kind of going over stuff you put in your little diary
bunch
thing
of stuff
today.
in there.
Yeah, there's quite a few things. So we're just trying to go over and trying to pinpoint some different things though. What's the major issues you see over here with Hanzey? I mean, there's obviously a lot of stuff in here, but
I mean, he just has a problem with, obviously going to work, then working 40 hours a week, and pretty much I consider it stealing time. So, I mean, that's why I basically started this book. Mm-hmm. Is it because I knew eventually one of the, this would end up happening. So, if I had everything all wrote down, every day when I go home from work, there was always something, pretty much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I'd go home and sit down with my wife, and we'd discuss, like, hey, look, this is what was done, this is what was said today, this is what time you went home. And did you work with Vicki Glover?
yeah, well, yeah, temporarily. I mean, she was here.
She's an awesome person.
Yeah.
She was actually, I mean, she wrote with me a lot. And she's like, Andy, you got to document everything. If you didn't document it, it didn't happen.
Right.
And at least this way, I got exact dates and times, and this is pretty much my memory. You know what I mean? So
what was your last day over there at Buckeye Lake? Was it this year?
It was 17.
17.
A couple days after Father's Day is when I had my accident and found out that I had brain cancer.
Okay.
So, what's Father's Day? June 19th?
Around the 21st or something.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, something like that. So,
Okay.
this is pretty much everything prior to, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah, I know somebody mentioned, and maybe I haven't gotten to it yet, that him and Vermaiden, I knew I was going to say it wrong, went riding four-wheelers at some state park, or?
Yeah, I believe it was Perry State Forest.
But you don't know when that was exactly?
Let's see. It's in here for sure, the date and the time.
Well, I found some where he was riding four-wheelers, but it
Riding four-wheelers, right.
But it was different reasons why they were looking for a horse.
Yeah, totally different. You just hadn't got to it.
I'm almost all the way to the back now.
Oh, okay.
Do you know where it might be in here?
Honestly, not really. My wife's at my car. She'd probably come back through here and browse through this thing.
Because I got, like, on 6/24/16, he's in a four-wheeler with Jeff. There was pictures on Facebook.
Okay.
Is that what you were talking about?
No.
Okay.
No,
Was it after that?
I believe it. I can't remember.
Okay.
I really can't. It was Perry State Forest opens. Probably look it up actually. When Perry State Forest opens their riding trails, because they went to Wayne National Forest, so they went down to Wayne, and then they found out that it was closed, so they went to Perry. Perry had opened up like that day, or that, whatever that day was.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly what day it was, because
Was it 2016, 17?
let me have my wife come in here. She's really good at.
I'd rather not really. I mean,
okay.
if you want to ask her about it and then have her, let you know, or if she knows where that might be in there, I guess that's fine. But
let me look it up real quick.
The key to things like that too is, he has to claim that as time on his.
Well, and in my notes, I know for sure, that night when I came home, I told the wife, I said, write down that I believe that wrote down that he had worked that day, and I made a copy of his timesheet showing.
you have timesheets in here, but I don't know if that's the right.
It should be with that page.
Or it's going to be behind that one maybe. I haven't gotten to this page yet.
Okay, so it may be this one.
Okay.
Because it specifically says, I went back and double checked to make sure that he wrote that time down as time that he worked, and I know for sure he didn't.
Okay, so.
Actually, I think possibly wrote down more hours than what he actually worked. Might have worked that he worked, or might have been something like, might have been like that. I was thinking it was like Tuesday or something. Ritter had came in and worked for Vermaten, because there was a, like our part-time guys are only allowed to work 32 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
So Mary, the lady that does our paychecks, was upset because there was a situation where Ritter had worked over because he claimed the hours that he came in and worked early.
Okay.
And
This is another one that you had on here. So you got Vermaten.
yeah, I made a copy of Vermaten's too. Is
Hanzey.
that Vermaten's?
That's Hanzey's. This is Vermaten's.
Okay.
Because you said that he didn't, Jeff worked from 12 to 10 on the timesheet.
Yeah.
This is Jimmy didn't fill his out until October 13th.
Yeah, I think that's probably it. I think.
Well, this is for December.
Okay. Yeah, I hate that. You know, there's just so much. This is December too.
Okay, all right, so
12.
it's December, it's 12/10, so, okay, December 10th.
I think that's something different though, because I was thinking it was right before springtime when I was riding a four-wheeler, when the four-wheeler incident went on or happened or whatnot.
That would make sense. The other one, I think, was like an 8,
Yeah.
the other time sheet.
So this timesheet from April is for,
I'm assuming that's
yeah, I was
probably,
gonna go four-wheelers.
yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to this page yet, that's why. Looking for the rest of the week off, then he said he took the work day off, and they were gonna go right four-wheelers. Talked to Minnie about Jimmy taking time off. Talked to, who?
Mary, she was
Oh, Mary, I'm sorry.
yeah, so I'm like, hey, how the hell can you be taking all this time off? And
She said he had 2 weeks of vacation.
yeah,
I said Jimmy got mad, broke the keyboard. So this is on 4/25,
yeah, so then, yeah,
and you say that he claimed time for that?
claim time for it. Yeah, I think there should be a copy of his timesheet in there with
17.
that.
Okay. So this would be the 4/25, would be right here, so 6A to 6P.
Yeah.
So he claimed 12 hours for that.
Yeah, claimed 12 hours, and then this was his timesheet. Like I said, he signed it, and so I'm like, oh, okay, so
Okay.
Do you know if he worked it all that day?
he didn't work at all that day. He was out riding four-wheeler for a maiden, for sure.
So
So,
maintenance day off?
No. They actually, Ritter had came in and covered Vermaten's shift so they could both go out and ride.
Okay.
But there's got to be a paper trail because they had to sign, you know how you get those license plates for your four-wheelers now?
yeah,
So wherever they had gone, they had to have gotten those plates to ride in Perry State Forest.
okay, yeah, we'll check on that.
But yeah, that's what I was referring to.
Okay.
So I knew I had it wrote down.
So all this stuff came in at 10, left at 1:30. You just believe that he's stealing time because of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there was times I'd gone to his house and you know, the times that he was writing down that he was working and he'd be in his shorts and no shirt. I mean, he definitely wasn't working, you know, I mean, sitting there watching Cops or something, you know, so he clearly wasn't working. But he always, it seemed like every day he had an excuse. And then I hurt my arm actually. Tripped and fell at work and hyperextended my arm. And I think he had some sort of conclusion that I was kind of keeping somewhat notes possibly because he kept telling me just, you know, if your arm hurts, it's your left hand and I'm left-handed. He's like, you know, you still got time. He kept encouraging me to take the time off. I think it was so that he could bullshit the other guys that were working and tell them, hey, look, I got these calls, or this report I got to do. He just basically tell them the same thing that he was telling me, but to a different person and get more time off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I strongly believe that that's what was going on. But yeah, not did he only write, you know, he wrote overtime hours on there, 12 hours, not even 10, and he was not at work, and especially at 6 o'clock in the morning, because that's when I came in. He could pull my time sheet. And then I think Vermaten wrote down, or Jimmy or somebody wrote down hours that he had worked that day, and it would have shown 4 of us working, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And there was only 2 of us.
Who was out with you that day?
Ritter.
Does Ritter know about it too, about being on the four-wheelers?
Yeah. Yeah, because he had to come in early to cover Jeff.
Okay.
How does Ritter feel about Hanzey?
I don't want to say they get along, but they don't get along. Ritter's one of those type of people, if he sees something that he doesn't like, he calls, you know, he's not afraid to call bullshit. And so Jimmy really don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say that they get along, but they don't get along, depends on what type of day it is, or...
So on 426 on here, you said that Jimmy stopped by the office, but he was out riding a motorcycle all day. He went through the paperwork on impounded cars, where he sold. But he's got down, he was there for 10 hours that day.
Right.
What time did you come in on the 26th then?
I would have to look at my time sheet,
Okay.
but I believe they're there for the longest time. My shift I'd work like from 6 to 4,
Mm-hmm.
and then he split it up and went noon to 10. So I can't remember exactly. You know, this book was, like I said, if I didn't have it, I would better remember that
Okay,
shit.
right,
But
sure.
Anything, you know, I mean,
No, quite honestly, the problem we're going to run into is it's going to be hard to prove this stuff.
right.
Because he's got documentation, you know, obviously saying, I worked these hours. And the only thing you have is documentation written down that says he didn't. So how do we prove that who's right?
Right.
That's the problem we're running into unless we can verify other things,
Well, and
like the four-wheeler
the
stuff.
4-wheeler stuff, right. And with the 4-wheeler ordeal, I know for sure he had to get a tag to ride it on State Park or whatever.
Mhm.
So that should be pretty easy to do. I mean, I don't know where you get the tags at, if it's Perry State Forest or if you go to the BMV.
Probably the BMV, but if he got the tag, you know, a week in advance, how you prove he was riding on that day?
Because
Sure.
Unless,
Perry State Forest, unless they require the registrations for the vehicles that are going to be on there, which is something we'll have to look into.
Perry State Forest, you have to have the tag too. Both of them.
You probably have to have the tag, but I
Well,
wonder
whether
if
they record the
a
tag.
tag. or
Oh,
something.
yeah,
to
that.
say
I
that
don't-
who's there riding, I
Yeah.
doubt they do
I
that.
doubt. I don't know. Yeah, that I don't know.
So on 5/5, you put in there, Jimmy hasn't worked all week. On 4/25, Jimmy has down, he worked 43 hours. He didn't work an hour all week. So he didn't work at all this whole week?
I didn't see him.
Okay.
But he supposedly had, he would tell us, or tell me that I got certain things on my computer, my laptop at home that he don't have in the office, so that would justify him to be at home all the time. But they'd say, call me if you need me.
Okay.
So, I mean, it wasn't expected that he's out patrolling the streets all day, right?
Yeah, it definitely was not.
Well, I mean, that's probably not the expectation that the village had of him
Correct.
either.
Correct.
He could do whatever
So,
he wanted pretty much.
Pretty
because-
much, right.
Just out of curiosity on auxiliary units when they come into work, do any of them ride by themselves? Do they ride with another officer? How's that work?
It kind of depends, like if someone's been working there for a while, typically if there was an extra car, we were there for the longest time, we had car issues, not enough cars to go around. What they would do is they would ride us in a separate car if we had an extra car, if they were trained, you know, had enough training or whatnot.
Mhm.
And then if they rode with somebody, typically what I would normally do is write a hashtag next to my name and write in who worked with me that day. Like, let's just say Jackson.
You would, but
Right.
not everybody did it that way,
Not
right?
everybody did it that way. There was really no actual, like, hey, look, you have to do this, you have to do that. But we did have a book that you were supposed to sign in also saying that, you know, Jackson came in and worked, you know,
Does everybody do that?
Tuesday. I don't know if everybody does that, to be honest with you.
Who's Randy?
Randy Perry?
Sure.
Or,
I
well,
think
there's
so.
a bunch of Randys.
Who's the Randy that took the fuel pump off the car?
Oh, that would be Street Department Randy.
Randy.
Busey.
So you wrote down here that he came into the station, grabbed the keys to the impound lot because he said he was pulling a fuel pump off.
Yeah, they're taking parts off cars
For what reason?
for his own personal. I think that fuel pump was for his brother,
Yeah, Gary.
Gary.
Okay. And he said that he had permission to do that from
Jimmy.
Jimmy.
And then Jimmy would also give him like all the batteries and, you know, whatever parts before they scrapped them or did whatever they did to them.
Okay.
I think on numerous occasions he would give, like there'd be speakers and stuff in the cars too. Gave him the Ritter.
Were these all cars that were in impound out of cases or what?
Yeah, well, they'd be, you know, DUIs or whatever. Something that nobody picked back up.
So they were scrapped.
They were going to be scrapped, yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, a lot of times you say here he's in plain clothes.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything that said he couldn't be in plain clothes, right?
No.
Okay.
Jimmy and the mayor, the mayor at that time were like, they were two peas in a pod, and he just basically got to do whatever he wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's really good at bullshitting him, and
You see anything else over there that we need to know about?
not that I can recall. Like I said, not 100% of the time, if I seen something that I thought was wrong, I came home that night and would write it down, you know what I mean? So if it's not written down, then definitely not.
When's the last time you saw like Vicky Glover work?
As far as,
just working there, being on patrol or anything else?
well, it would have been with me back in, I'm thinking like October or something, but I was told to tell her, per Jimmy, that if you can't work 8 hours consecutive, then you can't come in, you can't work anymore. So she
quit.
She quit, yeah.
And
When did she quit?
When was that? October?
I'm thinking like October, November. I'm not 100% sure on dates.
Last year or 16?
17, I think.
Because you were done in June, right?
Yeah.
So she wouldn't have rode with you in October if you were done in June.
Right. So then 16.
Right.
Sorry.
Okay.
So she did not work there from October of 16 on, right?
I believe so.
What-
I'm not sure on the date.
What's the other girl's name? Dory?
Dory Mitchell.
When's the last time? Dory. Is it Vermillion? Vermillion?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry, her maiden name was Mitchell.
All right. When's the last time you remember her working?
It's been years since I've seen her work. She'd come out and work it whenever Jimmy would call her and jump her ass and say, hey, you ain't put a single day in. We need you to come work today. Then she would probably come in and fill in like an 8-hour shift or something.
But you haven't seen that in years?
Yeah, it's been...
What about qualifications? You guys all qualify together or do anything?
No, Jimmy and Bartow would pretty much go qualified prior to us. And Jimmy would always say that was because Jim was so unsafe that he didn't want to put us in jeopardy. So he wanted to kind of make sure that Jim Bartow, which is like, he's like an 83-year-old man, or 89 or something like that.
Yeah.
Might be 90, he's really old.
Yeah, he's still working.
Unsafe to be around. But he used to be a former mayor, so him and Jimmy were like this, you know.
Right.
So it's like...
Yeah, I thought I saw him as an A in it.
Yeah. He's still working. Despite not being as fit for duty as probably should be.
But then there was Jason Sheeling. He was our, he did our, he did our taser training. And I ain't seen him in a couple of years. He just recently retired. Just, I don't know if he
Is he on that?
It's on the roster.
Not even on the roster. Okay.
Do you have, let's see what the hell's.
The roster we were given has Hanzey, Vermaeten, Ritter, and Haas as the paid guys.
Right.
Then you have James Jackson, Ben Justice,
Ben Justice, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I ain't seen him in years either.
Tyler Thompson,
I think that's the new kid. He just got hired with Hebron.
Dora Vermillion, James Bartow, and Ted Rivera.
Yeah, Tedra, I ain't seen her work in a long time either.
Did she come in?
Every once in a great while when I was told to call and rip someone's ass and tell them, hey, look, you guys don't start putting your hours in. But I'd say 90% of our auxiliaries never came out and put their time in. I mean, I think anybody that works there, including themselves, would probably tell you that they haven't put their time in.
So it'd be safe to say they were probably weren't putting in their 16 hours a month.
Right, correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's, we was so short-handed there for the longest while. It's like, why can't these people come in and work? And they always had excuses, which, I mean, I understand, they have normal jobs too, some of them, and it's hard to get them to come in and work. But,
Yeah, it's not a paid position, so.
Yeah. But Dory, depending on what type of mood she's in, sometimes she loves Jimmy and sometimes she hates him, so.
Okay. What's the story about the suicide gun?
What I got wrote down in there?
Yeah.
Basically, Jimmy was, Vermaeten had called me and said, hey, I need you to get over here at Jimmy's house. I think priority 1 is what I put down even. So I hurried up and got there, and I heard him kind of in there yelling a little bit, and Jimmy had a gun in his hand, and he's like, I want to kill myself. And I'm talking to him saying, Jimmy, don't do that, don't do that. And he's like, I've done lost everything. He's like, I'm already in trouble with Clay for some sort of insurance check that he cashed. What I thought it was and what it is now or what I know now, because of being rushed to the hospital, what happens is the village got a check. It's kind of hard to explain. Sorry, guys.
You're fine.
But
What did they get the check for?
he got the check for being rushed to the hospital. So he'd gotten this check, but it was made out like I got one.
It was meant to go to the town or to the
fire department.
Oh, so the insurance company was paying the fire department.
Yeah, and the check was actually made out to Jimmy. Which I got one of those checks too, and we had to take it into the village office and say, hey, look, what's this check here for?
Gotcha.
I don't want to cash it and get in trouble, you know what I mean? Cash something that's not mine.
Right.
And Mary, the village clerk that was in charge of payroll and that sort of stuff, she kind of let it known that was the type of check that Jimmy had cashed.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if he ever paid it back or was supposed to make payment arrangements, but I don't think he ever paid it back.
Okay.
But it was supposed to have been made out to the village, or he was supposed to pay that money back to the village, and it should have went to the fire department, which I don't know if you've ever heard of anything like that. I never have.
I'm not even sure why you would get a check because you got transported to the hospital. That makes
Our
no sense.
insurance is stupid. I know it didn't make any sense to us neither. That's why my wife and I wanted to make sure we didn't cash something that wasn't made out for us. And
In 2015, you talked about a gun that was used in a suicide, and that Jimmy, you needed to find the gun because the coroner's office was saying that to go and destroy all the evidence, and you couldn't find the gun.
yeah,
And then it reappeared after you couldn't find it.
yeah.
What's the story on that?
To be honest with you, I don't remember.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's
I
okay.
wish I could.
How about the time when you said that Jimmy had a car painted, and he said that he's just going to tell city council he misunderstood the quote, so that he can get the whole thing painted for?
Enos knew. Yeah, I do remember something.
What was that about?
I think Jimmy had told the guys to go ahead and paint the car, paint everything on there, and then or paint the fenders, blend it all in, make it look right, and
That's a patrol car, right?
yeah,
Okay.
it wasn't authorized by whoever, village council or the mayor for that amount of money. So
Okay.
I think Jimmy was just trying to cover his ass, and he told the painter one thing, and then told the village something else, because the painters, they were having a hard time getting paid. They'd stop me every once in a while and say, hey, what's going on with this? I said, I didn't really want it. I'm like, I don't really know. I said, your best bet's to go to Village Hall and talk to them and find out what's going on, but they ended up finally getting a check for whatever the amount of money was.
Okay. There was also another suicide you mentioned, that there was some money missing.
Some money missing.
Can you tell me about that?
I just remember when we was doing inventory, there was, I think it was like $140 or something. It came up missing.
Okay.
When I was doing my inventory of what we gathered from the house, because there was,
Who had access to that money?
would have just been Jimmy and me, obviously me, when I was doing my inventory, but it was definitely gone.
Okay. Did you have the money with you the whole time?
No, I don't remember what. If he took some of the stuff, or if I took some of the stuff, I don't really remember.
Okay.
It's been years ago, but.
You also, in September of 15, you said you went to a house on a suicide call. Actually, that Jimmy went to the house on a suicide call, and nobody ever documented anything. No call record, no reports, no nothing. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that one.
Okay. 9/1/15.
Jimmy called me before I got here, or he called me this morning and said, hey, what are you doing this morning? Or what are you doing today? I said, oh, I'm just going around paying some bills, and I think he was fishing, knowing that I was coming here today.
Did he know you were coming here today?
Unless, I never said, I ain't talked to him, and I couldn't tell you how long. He just happened to call twice this morning, and actually texted me at like 8:30 in the morning, which I never get up that early. My chemo that I'm on right now, it knocks me down. Normally I don't get up till, an early day for me is 10 o'clock. So it just makes me so drowsy and tired and just worn out. So.
Sure.
So, that's all I said, I just want to see what you were doing.
Well, and let's see, I'll show you the text messages. This is what he was wanting. He called, missed a call, and he put, hey Andy, it's Jimmy. Can you call me, thanks? And then he asked me when I was officially retired, and wanted my social security number and name and date of birth, which I thought that's kind of odd. My wife's like, see what the hell he wants that for? I'm like, I'm just not gonna try not to talk to him. So he's not asking a bunch of questions. And then he tried to call me back. That was at 8:29 this morning when he texted me. And I called him back roughly around probably 10 o'clock or so when I got up. And then at 10:54.
Did you ask him what he wanted that stuff for? That information?
I didn't ask him.
Did you give it to him?
Yeah, I gave it to him.
Okay.
And then he texted me he tried to call me and I didn't answer. I was on the other line actually. And then he texted me at 10:54 and put, I need your address. And so I sent that, and then he sent back thanks at 12:05. So I don't know what he needed that stuff for.
But you say you did have a conversation with him on the phone too, right?
Yeah.
And that was he just wanted to know what you're up to? Or?
Yeah, I felt like he was fishing, like he knew I was coming here, you know what I mean? And then once I told him I'm just going to go, we go to my wife's mom's restaurant in Buckeye Lake every day at between 10 and 11 o'clock, depending on what time I wake up, and go and meet her dad there for breakfast or lunch, whatever it ends up being by the time I get there. But
I'm just curious. Can you text him and just say, what do you need the information for? I'm just curious. Or?
I wouldn't text him now. It's going to be too late now, I guess.
It's still weird. Why the heck would he need his social security number and his date of birth? He doesn't work for him.
Maybe he didn't complete the paperwork that separated him from the department.
that's kind of what I was possibly thinking. But I also thought that all my information is all in my file. It's like, but he's not supposed to be at work, so maybe you can go to work and get that.
Why is he not supposed to be at work?
Because he's not allowed to go back until after the investigation. He's got to requalify. And
Oh, they put him on leave?
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe he wasn't able to go back to the office. I don't know if Peggy took his keys or.
If he can't go back to the office, it can't take you out. You know,
Right.
so.
Yeah, sorry guys. I wish I had more information, but
No, that's
like I
plenty.
said, I tried to
It's good
write and
dates.
document as much information
Absolutely.
as I could, just because I figured eventually this would, happen. I think it was 3 years of.
Yeah.
3 years of stuff, and that was just because of Vicky. She's like, Andy, you gotta write all this stuff down, because there's no way in hell I could have remembered all that, you know what I mean?
So it would be safe to say that Vicky didn't work any hours in October of last year, 2017?
Possibility. I honestly can't even remember when she handed in her resignation. I could call her and find out exactly.
And we'll get hold of her.
Okay.
I just wanted to see from your...
Right, I just, dates to me just are,
Well, I mean, but again, this would be after you retire.
oh no, she hasn't worked.
So, because you just retired last year, so...
Yeah.
You retired in June last year, so October of last year, would it make sense for Vicky to be working in October of last
Yeah,
year?
she was gone way prior to me retiring or whatever.
Okay, so that's kind of where I was
Yeah.
going.
So
I'm
you,
sorry.
you retired in June of 17.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure exactly how they have it
So you
down.
haven't been down, you haven't been gone a whole year yet.
No,
Okay.
no.
Gotcha.
I get my first check actually the 2nd of this month,
Okay,
so
I see.
I'm not sure exactly even when they have it me down as retiring, because they did give me like a back pay.
Yeah, it was in June from when I talked to them. They said it was in June.
Okay. Because we was trying to figure that out ourselves, because I don't know when to put it down.
Okay.
Sorry guys, I'm gonna sound like.
No, you're fine.
That's fine, no, not at all. No, we're just trying to, listen, we're just trying to dig into everything and see what we can come up with here.
It hasn't been the easiest based on the paperwork. There's not a lot of
Yes.
consistency. And
I was hoping by, this thing here, based on the document and show.
It helps.
Here's this time card. I mean, you signed it, you worked this day, and
Right.
we know for a fact you were out riding four-wheelers because of.
Well, that might be something,
You know
a lot of these things, he's gonna say, you're gonna say he didn't work that day, and he's gonna say, yes, I did.
so how do we prove
And
that?
that's it. You know what I mean? So how do we prove that he's not working? That's the hard part.
Right, no, I understand that.
So, because when it comes to that, it's a he said, she said, and, they're gonna err on the side of caution on this one. So I would say that, something to look into with the four wheels, we'll do that. Anybody else we can talk to that would know maybe some more about the hours that everybody are putting in, or,
Like I said, Vicky Glover, and then you may want to call Dory, and
yeah.
Does Bartow put in 16 hours a month?
he put in way more than 16 hours a month.
Okay.
He would come in and he loved writing tickets. And so he'd come out and work, 8-hour shifts multiple days in a row.
Now, did you hear anything about the shooting over there, the accidental discharge he had?
Not till my son, my 18-year-old son, sent me a message saying, hey, well, first that night my wife's like, hey, she always gets on King County scanner heads
Yeah.
to see what the hell's going on. She's like, hey, there's a shooting in Buckeye Lake. Well, her younger sister lives in Buckeye Lake, and she's been having problems with some drug addicts next door.
Yeah.
A lot of drug issues in and out of that house.
Speaking of that, do you know Darlene Hilt or Hoffer that lives at 4711 Walnut Road, lot M20?
Not that I can remember.
Okay. Because apparently she called him directly on the phone, which probably happens quite often out there, I would assume, right?
Yeah, I have Jimmy's personal cell phone.
Right. Okay. But that's not a familiar address or anything to you?
Not to me.
Okay. All right. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, man.
If you think of anything else and you want to call me and you're able to call me,
Yeah, absolutely can.
I'll try my best to remember. But like I said, 90% of what I can remember, what I wrote down was, it was like a daily event. Like, when I'd go home at 10 o'clock at night. Or
Right.
it's like, hey, what happened today? I was like, well, let's get our book out and write it down.
Sure.
So,
Well, I'll go through all of it and see and match it and, you know, do as much stuff as I can on it. So I appreciate the time and
yeah, no
your
problem.
bookkeeping skills there. So, is there any questions you have for us?
No, I
Okay.
don't think I have at all.
All right, cool.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I'll get you
Thank
out of
you,
here.
guys. Like I said, I hope I have some help, but
Yeah, you were. You definitely gave us some answers to things that we need. All right.
that's okay. Thanks, guys.
All right, have a good one.
Thanks,
Find
Andy.
your way out there.